are currently living in, well, arguably the most communicative era in human history.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right. I mean, you have instant messaging, video calls, social media. You've got a device in your pocket that can literally reach anyone on the planet in, like, less than a second.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But, and this is the wild part, relationship researchers and psychologists are observing these just unprecedented levels of emotional isolation.
Right, in couples and families who are literally sitting on the exact same couch.
Exactly. It's like we've completely mastered the technology of communication, but the actual, the mechanics of human connection.
The social and relational etiquette of just being with someone.
Yeah, that just seems to be totally failing us.
It is a profound modern paradox, honestly. I mean, we have essentially substituted proximity for presence.
Wow, proximity for presence.
Yeah, because you can share a living space with someone, sleep in the same bed, eat at the same table, and still feel, miles apart. The friction isn't coming from a lack of communication tools. It's coming from a lack of relational depth.
Which is exactly what we are plunging into today. We are looking at the mechanics of why physical proximity no longer equals emotional intimacy, and more importantly, how you can actually fix it.
Which we all need a little help with.
For sure. And our source material for this deep dive today comes straight from the Relationship Guidance and Articles section of the Weddizer website.
Yeah, a really great resource.
It really is. Now, if you aren't familiar, Weddizer is this platform that's largely dedicated to relationship goals, social etiquette, and just these overarching long-term relationship tips.
Right. They really specialize in that niche.
Exactly. And they recently published a piece specifically focused on fostering deeper connections through quality time. And what I love is that it cuts right through the usual, vague platitudes.
Yeah, that's what makes this particular source so incredibly valuable. It doesn't just tell you to, love each other more,
Right, which is so unhelpful.
It treats the relationship like an ecosystem that requires specific intentional inputs. It really breaks down the actual architecture of how trust and intimacy are built.
In a world that is fundamentally designed to distract you.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to extract the absolute best, most actionable insights from this Weddizer guidance for you.
We want to show you how to take those mundane, everyday interactions you're already having and transform them into structural bonds of trust.
But before we get into the execution of it all, I think we have to tear down a massive misconception about what quality time actually means.
Oh, for sure. We definitely do.
Because according to the source, most of us are fundamentally getting it wrong.
We are. I mean, the foundational argument the authors make is that we completely conflate physical presence with emotional presence.
Right. We assume that if we're in the room, we're spending quality time.
Exactly. But just occupying the same square footage is not connection.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Let's look at how this plays out in your living room. You are sitting on the couch next to your partner or, a family member.
You are physically there.
Right. But you're scrolling. Or maybe you're mentally rehearsing some argument you had at work, or you're stressing about an email.
Yeah, your brain is miles away.
You are in what we could basically call low power mode.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Right. Your physical operating system is technically running. You're breathing. You're in the room.
Yeah.
But the apps that actually connect you to the other person, the empathy processor, the curiosity drive.
The active engagement.
Yes. Those are all completely shut down to conserve energy.
And what's fascinating here is the crucial psychological mechanism at play. Because the human brain is evolutionarily wired to detect that low power mode in other people.
Wait, really? We can sense it.
Oh, absolutely. You cannot fake presence. We have these highly specialized neural pathways, like mirror neurons, facial recognition processing, that just instantly register when someone's attention is fractured.
That is wild.
Yeah, and the Weddizer article notes that true quality time requires full, undivided engagement. When you're only half present, you aren't just being lazy.
Right.
You are actively sending a subconscious signal to the other person that they are not your primary focus.
So the physical proximity almost makes it worse.
It does.
Because you are right there, but you are totally inaccessible.
It absolutely makes it worse. It creates this feeling of rejection. But if you flip that around, when you consciously carve out time for meaningful interaction.
And actually show up mentally.
Exactly. When you bring your full cognitive focus to that person, you explicitly communicate that they matter. The source points to data showing that couples and families who prioritize this highly intentional engagement
They see better results.
much better. They report significantly higher relationship satisfaction and vastly reduced conflict.
Because the underlying anxiety of the relationship kind of vanishes. I mean, if you know you have someone's full attention, you don't have to constantly perform or, like, fight to get it.
Exactly. It settles the nervous system.
Which logically brings us to the biggest, most aggressive barrier to that attention. We have to talk about the smartphone.
Oh, the ultimate disruptor.
Yeah.
The source is entirely uncompromising on this, by the way.
It demands a complete digital detox during quality time, like setting the phones, the tablets, the smartwatches, just completely out of sight.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Right. But I want to dig into the why here, because I think most of us assume that if the phone is, face down on the coffee table or just in our pocket on silent, we're being polite.
We think we're following standard social etiquette.
Exactly. So why does the Weddizer guidance insist on total separation?
It comes down to cognitive load. There is this incredibly well-documented psychological phenomenon known as the brain drain effect.
Okay, what is that?
Basically, even if your smartphone is face down and on silent, its mere presence in your visual field consumes a portion of your cognitive capacity.
Seriously, just seeing it.
Just seeing it. Your brain is essentially running a background program, actively suppressing the urge to reach out and check the device.
Wow.
So your working memory and your fluid intelligence, which are the exact tools you need to read your partner's emotional state, are measurably reduced.
That is terrifying.
It is. You quite literally become a worse listener just by having the phone on the table.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. You're basically losing relational IQ points to a piece of glass.
Precisely. And without that full cognitive capacity, the next step the Weddizer article advocates for, which is active listening, is neurologically impossible.
You just don't have the bandwidth.
Right. You cannot process someone's underlying emotional state, ask clarifying questions, and demonstrate true empathy if 10% of your brain is wondering if that buzz was an email from your boss.
Okay, but I want to push back on this expectation of active listening for a second.
Okay, sure.
Because let's look at the reality of your typical Tuesday. You, the listener, have just survived a 10-hour shift.
You're exhausted.
Beyond exhausted. You fought through gridlock traffic. You navigated awful office politics. Maybe you wrangled a toddler. You are profoundly depleted.
It's a very real scenario.
And your partner starts venting about their day. Honestly, passive listening, just nodding, making agreeable noises, letting them get it out, feels like the absolute best you can do.
I get that.
So, doesn't demanding, intense, clarifying, empathetic, active listening every single time just lead to burnout? Is passive listening really that toxic?
I completely understand that exhaustion. I really do. But I'd argue that passive listening is actually a false economy.
A false economy. What do you mean by that?
It feels cheaper in the moment, right? It takes less energy. But it comes with a massive hidden interest rate.
Okay, you have my attention.
It creates emotional debt. Let's look at the mechanics of what happens when your partner is venting. They aren't just transmitting data about their day.
They're looking for something.
Exactly. They're sending out an emotional bid. They're looking for validation. When you passively listen, when you just nod and say, wow, that's crazy, their amygdala doesn't settle.
The emotional processing center.
Right. It doesn't fully settle down. They still feel slightly unheard.
So the stress loop essentially stays open.
Yes. And the Weddizer authors highlight that active listening is fundamentally about demonstrating respect. When you summarize what they said, validate their frustration, ask a thoughtful question, you close that stress loop.
And if you don't?
If you don't do that, those tiny, unnoticed moments of feeling dismissed start to calcify. They fester into long-term misunderstandings.
So you are basically doing preventative maintenance.
That's exactly what it is.
You spend a little extra caloric energy on a Tuesday night to actively listen so you avoid a massive weekend-ruining blowout fight 3 weeks later.
A fight that started over how the dishwasher was loaded, but is actually about all that accumulated emotional debt.
Right. That makes total sense.
That is the exact mechanism. Active listening isn't just a nice etiquette rule. It is a structural investment. It builds a reservoir of deeper emotional intimacy and trust over time.
So when the relationship is subjected to a genuine stressor,
Like a financial hit, an illness, a major life change, the foundation is solid enough to distribute the weight.
I love that framing. It's
Yeah.
not about being a perfect partner every single second of the day. It's about keeping the emotional debt from bankrupting the relationship.
Exactly.
But okay, this brings up a logistical nightmare.
Let's hear it.
We know how to be present. We put the phone in another room to avoid the brain drain effect.
Yeah.
We engage our active listening.
Yeah.
But when do we actually do this?
Finding the time.
Right, because if you are just waiting around for a spontaneous, perfectly energized 2-hour window to magically open up in your modern schedule,
Yeah.
you are going to be waiting a very long time.
You'll be waiting forever. And this is where the Weddizer guidance pivots from the behavior of connection to the architecture of connection.
The architecture.
Yeah. You cannot rely on spontaneity to sustain a long-term relationship. You have to build a predictable structure.
And the article advocates heavily for scheduling regular quality time, right?
Very heavily. They're talking about explicit consistency.
Like weekly date nights,
Yeah.
monthly family outings.
Dedicated blocks of time on the calendar where the only agenda is open, honest communication and sharing feelings.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I read that and immediately felt incredibly skeptical.
Oh, a lot of people do.
If I sent my partner a calendar invite for open and honest emotional dialogue on Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., that sounds like a corporate performance review.
It does sound a little dry.
Doesn't forcing a conversation at a scheduled time kill the romance? I mean, what if you sit down on Thursday at 8 p.m. and you're just genuinely not in the mood to process your feelings?
Yeah.
Doesn't forced scheduling breed resentment?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that is the most common pushback to scheduling. But the psychology actually points in the exact opposite direction.
Really?
Yes. We have been conditioned by movies to romanticize spontaneity. We think the best moments must be totally organic.
The whole meet-cute movie magic idea.
Exactly. But the reality of your life is that if something isn't protected on a calendar, it gets devoured by the loudest, most urgent demand in your environment. The urgent always pushes out the important.
So the scheduling is purely defensive.
It's defensive, but it is also deeply regulating for the nervous system. The source hits on a crucial point about the predictability of this time.
Okay.
Think about the underlying anxiety of a relationship where time together is purely spontaneous. Your partner never quite knows when they will get your undivided attention.
So they have to constantly guess.
They have to constantly send out those bids for connection throughout the week, and they might feel needy or anxious or like they're bothering you.
Because they don't know when the next meal is coming, emotionally speaking.
That is a perfect way to put it. But when your partner knows, without a shadow of a doubt, that Thursday night is protected, their nervous system relaxes.
They can just breathe.
They don't have to fight for your attention on Tuesday or Wednesday because they trust the architecture you've built.
Yeah.
The predictability is what reassures them that they're valued.
And what about the mood issue?
Right. Regarding your point about not being in the mood, the schedule doesn't force a specific emotional output. It just creates a safe, reliable container.
So you don't have to cry and share deep secrets every Thursday.
Not at all. Spontaneity and deep romance can only happen safely when people feel perfectly secure. You are essentially building the clearing in the woods where the spontaneous moments can actually occur.
Okay, that reframes it completely for me. The structure doesn't replace the romance, it houses it.
Exactly.
But let's look at what happens inside that house. It's Thursday at 8 p.m. The perimeter is secure. The phones are in a drawer. How do you prevent that scheduled time from feeling incredibly heavy?
Right. Nobody wants a weekly therapy session.
Exactly. If every scheduled date night is just a deep dive into your childhood traumas and workplace anxieties, people are going to start dreading Thursday nights.
A relationship cannot survive on intense emotional validation alone. It needs oxygen. It needs joy.
And the Weddizer article provides a really elegant solution to this by emphasizing shared experiences and playfulness.
Yes. Tip number 2 and tip number 6.
Right. Cooking together, taking walks, attending a workshop, playing a game, and importantly, doing it with mindfulness, paying attention to the moods and nonverbal cues of the other person without judgment.
I want to focus on that concept of the shared experience because it is the secret engine of relationship building.
It's not just about having fun, right?
No, it is about introducing what we could call shared friction.
Shared friction. Okay, give me a real-world example of what that looks like in practice.
Let's think about the classic advice to cook a meal together. If the absolute only goal was to consume a perfect pot of food, you would just order takeout.
Or the most efficient cook in the house would just do it alone and banish everyone else from the kitchen.
Exactly. But when you cook together, you are deliberately introducing friction. You are bumping elbows in a tight kitchen. You misread the recipe, the sauce burns.
It's chaos.
It is. You have to communicate, negotiate space, and adapt on the fly. That shared friction forces you to collaborate. The meal itself is entirely secondary. The meal is just the excuse to navigate a minor challenge side by side.
It's like cooking together.